looks really bad. What's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out another video. Today we're going to be discussing 5 tips that you need to stick to your New Year's diet. Tip number 1, you already know this, it's going to be drink more water. So what happens when you drink more water, or for example you drink about 16 ounces of water before you eat? Your stomach actually expands, allowing you to feel a little bit fuller before you actually begin eating. Staying hydrated and making sure you're drinking enough water is going to be great for whether you're cutting or not. Because we are composed of 60% water, it's going to be really helpful to keep things moving and to just make you feel less bloated and more full throughout the day. Tip number 2. Now this is something you may have not heard of, but palatability. Palatability means foods that are very appeasing to the palate. And if you don't know what your palate is, it's just basically your mouth and your taste buds. So for example, you may not want to eat, 3 bowls of regular steel-cut oatmeal, but you could crush about 6 bowls of Lucky Charms. This is because Lucky Charms are really sugary and that have a high palatability index rate in comparison to steel-cut regular plain oats with no added sugar, no fruit, anything like that. Both are sources of carbs, except 6 cups of steel-cut oatmeal is going to be leaving you feeling a whole lot more full than 6 bowls of Lucky Charms. Tip number 3, meal timing. A lot of people will say that when they first wake up in the morning, they're not starving. Or after they just have a really intense workout, they're not super starving. So what you could do is delay that eating time. So say you're not hungry till about 11 o'clock, then you could have your first meal of the day. If you're deep into a fat loss diet and you are having really intense workouts and you're just not that hungry after workouts, a good idea is to wait till later in the night where you can have some of those post-workout carbs and protein. One myth is that you need to hit your anabolic window exactly after you finish working out. And although this is helpful, this will not leave you worse off as to if you were overeating. If your goal is to lose fat and you're overeating because you eat right after you work out because Instagram told you that you need to eat, 10 minutes after you finish your last set, but you end up over-consuming 300 calories, that's going to be worse off for your end goal, which is to lose fat, not gain muscle. Tip number 3, increase caffeine consumption. This is probably my personal favorite. A lot of people are under the misconception that coffee is a great source of caffeine. Although it is, the added sugars and added creamers and everything that people fill their coffees with give you a lot of extra added calories. And when I give you this tip, I mean increase your caffeine consumption with some black coffee, an Americano, or my personal favorite, Monster Ultra Zero. Monster, please sponsor me. In moderation, of course. Caffeine will be helpful in your fat loss program because it's an appetite suppressant. A lot of times caffeine can make you feel a little bit fuller after you consume it, so it delays that hunger feeling and that you're just gonna, gnaw your right hand off. And this is a given, but caffeine is gonna increase your activity levels. So if you're just sitting around the house, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm about to destroy my whole pantry. All out, maybe consume 1 cup of black coffee, and then you're going to want to take the dogs for a walk or clean up your room or stay out of the pantry, most importantly. Tip number 4, eat higher fiber foods. This tip is similar to tip number 2 in the sense that you're going to be choosing or selecting different foods. Veggies, fruits, and whole grains are really great examples of carbs that are going to give you a lot of fiber and that's going to fill you up in comparison to foods that are really high in the glycemic index and that you're going to consume and it's just going to go to your body and you're going to feel hungry after you eat it. For example, a bowl of cereal may fit in your macros for the day, but changing those macros with something with more whole grains such as oatmeal, an apple, this will leave you more full and allows you to have more success in your fat loss phase. Tip number 5 is going to be to increase your protein intake. For most people, when they're starting a fat loss diet, they're going to be counting their macros. And if you're familiar with this, a tip I'm going to give you is to acknowledge that you're consuming about 1.0 to 1.5 grams per body weight of protein per day. Not only will protein leave you feeling fuller, but protein is also going to make sure that you're not depleting your muscles too much during this phase where you're trying to lose weight. Although we all want a 6-pack of abs for the summer pool session and beach and all of that, you don't want to compromise quality muscle just to, change your weight on the scale. A lot of research also indicates that protein has a really high level of satisfaction rate. So after you consume, some chicken breast or some lean ground beef, whatever your protein of choice is, you're going to be feeling fuller. And it's not going to digest as quickly as, per se, a Pop-Tart or 5 spoonfuls of peanut butter. Those are my 5 tips to help you stay on your diet for this 2019. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And until next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give my Instagram a follow at RachNicely, where I'm posting content similar to what you saw today.